In the world of work, a quiet but fundamental distinction exists. It separates two modes of contribution that can look almost identical. One is defined by constant motion, relentless engagement with tasks as they arise. The other is characterized by deliberate stillness, a thoughtful withdrawal from the immediate flow. This difference is not about effort or intelligence, it's about perspective. It's the contrast between acting within a system and acting upon the system itself. Most of our days are spent in the former, responding to demands and executing existing procedures. The operator mode is immediate and tangible action. Answering emails, attending scheduled meetings, updating spreadsheets, moving projects from one stage to the next. The work is necessary, visible, often urgent. It creates a rhythm of productivity, a steady hum of tasks completed. Success here is measured by throughput and efficiency. How much was done? How quickly was it accomplished? The feeling. Essential at the center of the operational current, keeping the mechanism moving. However, there is another, less visible way that works on a different timescale. This is the designer mode. It begins with observation, not immediate action. The designer steps back to watch the flow. They focus not on items passing by, but on the shape of the channel that guides them. Points of friction, bottlenecks, recurring problems. Their goal, not to work harder inside the structure, but to reshape the structure itself. The two modes produce different results. One yields linear output, more effort, more results at a fixed ratio. The other creates leverage. One change can amplify the entire system's output without more ongoing effort. Understanding this difference is the first step from perpetual motion to strategic impact. Not all effort is created equal. The most powerful contributions are often the quietest and least obvious. Activity can often be mistaken for leadership, especially when it takes the form of a meeting. In the operator's world, the calendar is a testament to importance. Back-to-back meetings are a sign of being indispensable. These gatherings become the primary forum for demonstrating engagement, a ritual where presence is equated with contribution. The agenda is followed, updates are shared, action items are assigned. Each meeting feels like a point of control, a moment where the team aligns and decisions are made. It is the visible machinery of collaboration, a constant hum of structured conversation that fills the working day. However, many of these rituals proceed without a clear architectural purpose. They are fixtures in the schedule, inherited from past projects, established as a default response to the need for communication. The meeting exists because it has always existed. This creates a culture where being in the meeting is more important than the outcome. The act of gathering becomes a performance of productivity. Yet this motion is often circular. The same problems are discussed week after week. Action items frequently involve scheduling another meeting. The system is self-perpetuating, a loop of talk that generates more talk, believing it's the engine of progress, unaware it may be an engine running in neutral. The dashboard is the operator's sacred text, a digital altar where the health of the system is displayed in real time. It is a mosaic of charts, graphs, numbers, glowing green when targets are met, flashing red when they are missed. For the person managing operations, the dashboard is a source of truth and a means of control. A dashboard glowing green shows processes running, but cannot tell if they are the right processes. A green dashboard can indicate that a team is exceptionally good at executing a fundamentally inefficient process. The operator, focused on keeping the metrics positive, channels their energy into optimizing actions that satisfy the dashboard's logic. This creates a powerful incentive to work for the tool, rather than using the tool to achieve a greater purpose. When faced with complexity or recurring errors, the operator's instinct is to introduce more process, A new checklist is created, an additional approval stage is added, a detailed form is implemented. This accumulation of rules and procedures gives the impression of a system becoming more robust and error-proof. This approach, however, often confuses complication with sophistication. Their cumulative effect is a system that becomes increasingly slow, rigid, and burdensome. This is motion without architecture because it is additive, not foundational. It is the equivalent of patching a crumbling wall with more plaster, instead of examining the building's foundations. The system, designed to prevent errors, also prevents improvement. It creates a stable but stagnant environment where activity is high but leverage is low. The shift from operator to designer begins not with an action, but with a deliberate pause. It is the conscious decision to step away and observe the system from a distance. From this new vantage point, the focus is no longer on the individual items flowing through the process, but on the shape and dynamics of the flow itself. The ambient hum of the office fades, the constant chime of notifications ceases, and a quiet space for contemplation emerges. In this silence, the work changes from doing to seeing. The designer is not concerned with answering the immediate question posed by the system, but with asking a more fundamental one. Why is the system structured this way? Once the system has been observed and its flaws diagnosed, the designer's first impulse is often not to add something new, but to take something away. This is the art of subtraction. It is the search for the unnecessary meeting, the redundant approval step, the form that collects information no one uses. Each element removed is a point of friction eliminated, a small liberation of time and energy for everyone working within the system. The designer asks of every step in a process, is this essential? What would happen if we simply stopped doing this? Often the answer is surprising. Layers of process, once added for a reason long forgotten, are discovered to be mere ritual. The ultimate goal of the designer is not to create a perfect, rigid machine that people must serve. Instead, it is to build a system that enables human autonomy. A well-designed system does not seek to control people's every action with prescriptive processes. It provides them with clear goals, the right information, and a simple set of guiding principles. It then trusts them to use their own judgment to navigate the specifics. This approach replaces the brittle complexity of rigid rules with the resilient flexibility of a well-informed team. The structure itself provides the guidance, freeing up leaders to focus on the next horizon rather than on the minutiae of daily operations. The designer's presence is felt not in their constant motion, but in the effortless functioning of the system they have shaped. The work of design culminates in leverage, a force multiplier that is both powerful and quiet. Unlike the operator's linear relationship between effort and output, the designer's impact is asymmetrical. A single, well-placed change in a system's architecture is not a one-time burst of activity, but a permanent alteration to the landscape. This leverage is often invisible in the day-to-day. A system that runs smoothly does not draw attention to itself. The absence of crisis, the reduction in urgent emails, these are outcomes defined by what is no longer happening. The energy previously spent on managing friction is now freed up and can be directed toward more valuable work. In the operator's world, urgency is the default state. The designer's work fundamentally changes this dynamic. By addressing the system's underlying structure, they begin to eliminate the sources of chronic urgency. The ambient noise of crisis fades, replaced by the soft air of calm, focused work. This shift creates stability. Deadlines are met not through last-minute scrambles, but because the workflow is smooth and realistic. Stability is not the absence of activity. It is the steady rhythm of a healthy heart, not the frantic fibrillation of one in distress. The authority of the operator is temporary and requires constant presence. The designer's authority is of a different kind. It is enduring and indirect. It is encoded into the structure of the system itself, continuing to guide behavior long after the designer has moved on. This is a quiet authority, one that manifests as the effortless coordination of many people working toward a common goal. The operator gains importance by being the indispensable hub. The designer gains influence by making themselves progressively less necessary. We have traveled through two distinct worlds, each governed by its own logic and rhythm. The challenge is not to choose one path forever. It is to recognize the choice in any given moment. Cultivate the awareness to know when to operate, and the courage to step back and design. The greatest impact comes not from rowing harder, but from redesigning the boat. In that quiet, deliberate choice lies the difference between a career of perpetual effort and a legacy of lasting impact.